Hello everyone, and welcome back to Tony D. Newton channel. Now today is April 17th, a very special day for Paul. This was the day when 56 years ago, his debut solo album was released. That's the front cover. This is the back cover, of course. A much better photo, in my opinion. Also on my t-shirt now. And as you can see, this is the deluxe box set for the album. Now, before I discuss the album and the songs, I want to talk about where Paul's head was at that time of recording. So, the Beatles just broke up several months before that album came out in the summer. He didn't know what to do, and it was in September '69 when Paul's first daughter was born, Mary McCartney. Well, first biological daughter. Of course, he adopted Heather, Linda's first daughter. But at this time, Paul and Linda were living in that little farmhouse in Scotland, and he didn't know what his future was going to be. He was feeling very depressed because he didn't have his band that he'd been in for the past 13 or so years. Actually, no, 12 years. And he just didn't know what to do. And Linda just had her second baby, and she felt she had two babies to take care of with Paul and with Mary. But she was the one who convinced Paul that he can do it on his own in his solo career, telling him, "You're a musician, you can write songs." And because of that, he got this idea to have his own 4-track, 8-track player and record an entire album by himself. And he just started writing these songs about, in his own words, family, love, and home. And those are the songs that form this album. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't think that a bowl of cherries and more cherries is the best album cover. Actually, it looks more like a bowl of cherry juice and then mushroom cherries. I think this photo on the back of the album would have been a much better front cover photo. Now, this vinyl right here, I want to tell you all about it because this is a used copy that I got at the Festival Beatle Fans for just £10. I like saying pounds a lot. It was only $10, but it's in perfect condition. It'd be nice to get a very new copy, but this is so perfect here. And yeah, I want to talk about Paul deciding to record these songs by himself. Besides 2 Beatles songs, it was really the first time Paul was playing the drums by himself. And despite that fact, he has a very, I wouldn't say great, but he does a decent job of playing drums. He does a good job playing drums in this album. You know, you can imagine that if Ringo was on the album, he might have done the same things on the drum fills, maybe a little bit better. But then again, Ringo is the kind of drummer who will do just what that song needs or just what that singer needs. And it's really, I'm always stunned when I hear an album where somebody was playing multiple instruments or they're singing and they're playing, because you know that means that they had to record one thing and then record something else and then record that on top of that. And that's something the Beatles started doing themselves. If you read about the way George Martin produced the Beatles, you would have them double-track their vocals. You would have them record the guitar parts and then record vocals on top of that and on top of that. And Paul did the entire album this way, all by himself, him playing piano, him playing drums, him playing acoustic and electric guitar. And really fun fact, in one song on the album, he even plays a deodorant can and just sprays that as an instrument. So, let's talk about those songs. It starts off with this just gentle, goofy, silly song called The Lovely Linda, which is just 50 minutes, or 50 seconds rather, of just Paul singing about Linda. La 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 la, the lovely Linda, with the lovely flowers in her hair. Just 45 seconds, and then Paul just giggles. And I think you can hear a door opening up. It's not a terrible way to start an album. And the second track I really like. That Would Be Something. Now it's just one verse of lyrics that don't mean much of anything, but it's a really enjoyable song. He just sings, that would be something. It really would be something. That would be something. To meet you in the falling rain. Mama. To meet you in the falling rain, mama. And just repeats that for maybe 3-4 times. And I really love his bass in this song. He gives a little bit of a country rock feel to it. And about 21 years later, when Paul did the MTV Unplugged show, this is one of the tracks that he played with his band, which sounded a lot better in that kind of environment with the whole band. But I really do like Paul's soul version of this. Like I said, you know, the lyrics mean nothing. It doesn't mean much of anything at all. But I really, really enjoy the feel and the vibe to this song. I like that the lyrics mean nothing, but I get such a kick out of hearing him sing this song. And another fun fact, this was one of the 3 Paul McCartney songs from the 70s that George Harrison heaped praise on. It was this song George said he liked. It was I'm Carrying from 78. And it was Baby's Request from 79. Now, all 3 of those are rather gentle, mellow songs. And George did not like punk rock. He didn't like heavy rocker songs from Paul. And I guess what George liked about this song is that it has this country vibe to it, this mellowness. I don't know. The third track is one of several instrumentals on the album. And I'm somebody who loves rock and roll / pop instrumentals. Because when there are no lyrics, then you just get lost in listening to just the music. And then you can just close your eyes and just imagine what those chords and notes might describe, what that music might accompany. Maybe put a picture in your head of what might be going on when that music is playing. It's a great little song called Valentine Day. And another fun fact, in 79, when Paul and Wings toured and performed in England, this was one of the songs they would play live, Valentine Day. It has a really nice, again, gentle, mellow vibe to it. I don't know why it has that title, Valentine Day. It doesn't have anything to do with the holiday at all. But it is a very lovely little song. And I wanted to get to one of my favorites on the album up next, Every Night. Since I was 15, this has been one of my all-time favorite McCartney songs. And I'm not sure if you could call it underrated, because it's been on 2 different McCartney compilations. But I do think it's underrated, because it doesn't get enough attention as much as it should. Now, in my mind, maybe I'm wrong, but in my mind, Every Night is a love song to Linda when Paul was feeling depressed at the home after the Beatles breakup, and she was the one who got him through it. The lyrics are so beautiful, and Paul gives a very soulful vocal performance. And I remember a few years ago, it might have been during the pandemic, I saw this video on Facebook of Kevin Bacon and his wife, Kira Sedgwick, where they were covering this song. It was really lovely. But anyway, the lyrics are, every night, I just want to go out, get out of my head. Every day I don't want to get up. get out of my bed. Every night I want to play out, and every night I want to do, ooh. But tonight I just want to stay in and be with you, and be with you, ooh. Every day I lean on a lamppost, I'm wasting my time. Every night I lay on a pillow, I'm resting my mind. Every morning brings a new day, and every night that day is through, ooh, ooh. But tonight I just want to stay in and be with you, and be with you, ooh, ooh, ooh. Believe me, mama. Beautiful lyrics that I believe are about the depression Paul was feeling at that time and the laziness, you could say, of not feeling motivated to do anything out of the house. That's definitely a symptom of depression. And then we get to two more very fascinating, very, you could say, avant-garde instrumental tracks. We've got Hot as Sun, which is a really cool song and has a great vibe to it. Again, I love instrumentals on this album because you can just shut off your eyes, shut off your mind, and just imagine something. Imagine another world, another story. Imagine what that music might accompany. And then Hot as Sun. At the very end of it, we hear a snippet of the song Suicide, the track that Paul recorded and wrote and wanted to give to Frank Sinatra to record, but that Sinatra heard the whole song and thought Paul was playing some kind of joke on him and said, "Is this guy having me on?" But Suicide, if you hear it, it's not a bad song, but it's sort of satirical lounge song about how when a woman goes to bed with a man, it's like suicide for her. I know it's really weird, but that was Paul. And then Hot as Sun, which is a great song, leads into Glasses, which is basically just Paul very lightly touching these glasses to form musical notes. And it does make a beautiful, very pretty sound. And I think that this Glasses song is an example of Paul being avant-garde. Now, in the Beatles, John got credit for being the avant-garde Beatle because he did Revolution 9, he did a few other songs like that. But Paul bringing in those tape loops and contributing that to the song Tomorrow Never Knows, that was his idea. And he's done a number of things in his solo career that are avant-garde he should get credit for. So that's what I have to say about that. And then we get to a beautiful, gorgeous song that I'm quite certain Paul started working on before the Beatles broke up, called Junk, which is basically all about people that have yard sales and estate sales and things like that. It's all about the stuff they're selling. Motor cars, handlebars, bicycles built for two, parachutes, army boots, sleeping bags for two, sentimental jamboree. Bye bye, says the sign in the shop window. Why, says the junk in the yard. Candlesticks, building bricks, something old and new, memories for you and me. It's a lovely little song about just how sentimental people are about old artifacts. Well, not artifacts, antiques that they have to sell. And I think it's one of the most beautiful, gorgeous songs of Paul's entire solo career. And on side 2 of the album, of course, there's the song Sing Along Junk, which is just an instrumental of this song. So I don't know why it's called Sing Along Junk. And then we get to a sort of country-esque song with Linda McCartney, on sharing harmonies with Paul called Man We Was Lonely. Now, I think it's all about, when Linda and Paul were on at their house on the farm after the Beatles broke up and he was feeling lonely and he was reflecting on time in the Beatles. Man, we was lonely. Yes, we was lonely. And we was hard pressed to find a smile. But now we're fine all the while. I used to ride on my fast city line, singing songs that I thought were mine and mine alone. Which I think is a reference to how Paul had so many arguments with John about, he thinks this song belongs to him, but really it belongs to someone else, because then he learned that the music publisher owned the song and stuff like that. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But it's a great little song. It's wonderful to hear Paul and Linda sharing vocals in a duet like that. And it does kind of sound like Paul was influenced by Johnny Cash a little, maybe, because it has a country twang to the guitar in there. It's really cool. And now's where we get to side 2 of the album. And now we get to one of those songs on the album where we get, once again, the lyrics don't mean much of anything, but it still has a fun vibe to it. And that's a song called Ooh You, which starts off with Paul randomly saying Bogota, which I think is this town in Colombia. But it has a great electric guitar riff to it called Ooh You. Look like a woman, dress like a lady, talk like a baby, love like a woman. Ooh you, walk like a woman, sing like a blackbird, eat like a hungry, cook like a woman. Ooh you. Just a bunch of nonsense words about how Linda is sexy and all that. That's really all the lyrics amount to. But again, it's a fun song, and can you blame Paul for singing about Linda in there and how beautiful and sexy she is? And I'd be doing the same thing if that was my hair. And then we get to my favorite instrumental song on the album, which for some reason is called Mama Miss America. I don't know why it's called that, because at the beginning of the song, Paul shouts out, "Rock and roll springtime, take one!" Of all the instrumentals on the album, this one really rocks out the most. It's just a really cool instrumental rock song that starts off really plotting, like pounding on the drums, and then there are parts really going on the piano, and yeah, I love the guitar parts in here. I love the piano, I love the drumming. It has this cool vibe to it, and then he starts pounding on the piano, and I'm pounding with him on. This one is so much fun. I've been thinking through the years lately how Paul has had maybe well over 12.5 instrumental songs on his albums, and it's something that's just not the case with George, John, and Ringo, and it's not the case with a lot of singer-songwriters and pop stars. And I think on this album he nails all of those instrumentals. Mama Miss America, if you don't know it, you gotta listen to this song. Again, I don't care that there are no lyrics. I love that, because then I can just zone out and pay attention to all the chords and the notes. And then we get to a song that Paul wrote before the Beatles broke up and really tried to make a Beatles song, but the others didn't like it. And that's the song Teddy Boy. If you watch the Get Back documentary, there's even a part where Paul's trying to get them all interested in this song and they sing it, but then John's just joking around and mucking about, and he's joking, trying to turn the song into this hoedown song, not taking it seriously at all. It's just a song about an orphan boy, or about a boy. This is a story of a boy named Ted, and his mother said, "Ted be good, he would." She told them tales about his soldier dad, but it made him sad. But it made her sad. Then she'd cry, "Oh my, Ted used to tell her he'd be twice as good, and he knew he would, 'cause in his head he said, Mama, don't worry now. Teddy boy's here, taking good care of you. Mama, don't worry, your Teddy boy's here. Teddy's gonna see you through. Then came the day she found herself a man. Teddy turned and ran far away. Okay, he couldn't stand to see his mother love another man. He didn't know. No, no. He found a place where he could settle down. And from time to time, in his head, he said, Mama, don't worry. And she said, Teddy, don't worry now. Mommy is here. Sort of a fun story. Definitely not. It's a great little song. But I can understand why John and George were not enthused about the song. But I like Teddy Boy very much. I really do. And the next track is the gorgeous instrumental version of the song Junk, called Sing Along Junk, ironically. Although I do want to mention Teddy Boy, because, fun fact, back in the 50s and 60s, a teddy boy was a slang term in England for a boy who would wear their pants a certain way and wear tough-looking leather jackets and try to look all tough for everyone, which doesn't have anything to do with the song, but it is a weird fun fact. But yeah, the instrumental version of the song Junk, Sing Along Junk, is absolutely gorgeous and is one of the best things Paul has ever recorded. And again, I can't stress enough how amazing it is that Paul recorded these songs all by himself. There could have been a band there, but Paul he wasn't in the right state of mind to record with a band at that time. It had to be just himself. And then we get to, of course, the greatest song on the album, and in my opinion, the greatest song Paul ever wrote in his career, Maybe I'm Amazed. The song he wrote to show his gratitude and his love for Linda, who, like I said, got him through this terrible time of the Beatles breaking up and his depression over it. It starts off with a fade in, and then these gorgeous piano notes, and then, Baby, I'm amazed at the way you love me all the time, and maybe I'm afraid of the way I love you. Maybe I'm amazed at the way you pulled me out of time and hung me on a line, and maybe I'm amazed at the way I really need you. Now, I have a theory about that line, hung me on a line. Linda was a professional photographer, and back then, in 1969, there were no camera phones or electric, so of course when you took a picture on a Polaroid, you would need to develop it by putting it on a line to dry. I think that's what he meant. Or there's a dirty interpretation, hung me on a line could mean something else. I don't know. Baby, I'm a man, maybe I'm a lonely man who's in the middle of something that he doesn't really understand. Baby, I'm a man, maybe you're the only woman who can ever help me. Baby, won't you help me to understand? Maybe I'm amazed at the way you're with me all the time. And maybe I'm afraid of the way I'll leave you. Maybe I'm amazed at the way you help me sing the song. You right me when I'm wrong. And maybe I'm amazed at the way I really need you. Ow, ow, ow. And I love the drumming throughout the song. I love his guitar solo near the end. Oh, this is the most incredible song he's ever written. Because this is how Paul would show someone that he loves them. Paul, like most men in the 1970s and 60s and 50s, didn't feel like he could express his emotions in a healthy way, because at that time men didn't really do that. But he was such a gifted songwriter, he would do that through his songs. And I don't know if he ever told Linda to her directly, I love you, but he did that with all these gorgeous songs. And for the record, no pun intended, I would rather listen to this version of Maybe I'm Amazed any day over the live one from 6 years later. Any day. I would much rather hear Paul perform and sing this all by himself. And then at the end of the album, after I'm Amazed, we get to the weirdest song on the album, Karina Quarry, which I didn't know for a long time was about this TV special Paul saw, all about this African tribe called the Karina Quarry, and he basically wrote this song about them, but there are no lyrics, so how am I supposed to know that? And the song basically is about them going to hunt, and then you hear an arrow shot and a fire. Yeah, it's a fun song. It's a great vibe to it. And again, another fun fact. This song and Me I'm Amazed were the only two songs for the album recorded at Abbey Road Studios. At the time, Paul didn't want anybody to know he was there, so he used an alias named Billy Martin. And I believe Alan Parsons, the famous Alan Parsons, was an engineer during those sessions. And the other tracks on the album, of course, were recorded at his home studio. And, yeah, it's lovely that Paul recorded this great album all by himself. And Linda contributed a little bit to the harmonies on Man We Was Lonely. And she was really his rock at this time. He could not do things without her. And then, of course, the next album after this one was Ram, credited to Paul and Linda McCartney. And, of course, she contributes the hell out of that album on harmonies. And that will be the next deep dive I do for all of you. And, of course, after Ram was Paul starting a new band that will be called Wings later on. And I'll get to that as well. Anyway, thank you for watching this. And I do want to show on this deluxe box set book a few photos from the album. That's a goofy photo of Paul. And this is great. That's a really good photo of Linda. Anyway, thank you for watching. And comment your thoughts about the McCartney 1 album. This is easily my favorite of the albums Paul did by himself. Thank you so much.